What's going on, guys? Late night start or early morning start. Gonna just play a little Dynasty as usual, but then also some patch stuff came out, right? So if anybody's up this late, ask some questions and go from there. You know what I mean? So I'll be right back. Let me check the audio. What's up, man? Just want to do a live stream here. I'll probably end up maybe, depending on what we go over, what we talk about, probably I might cut it up or at least chapter it up because if we go for like an hour or two, I know that's a lot of people don't like watching long videos, but I think this one would be something that maybe people want to watch. I don't know. Um, Excited to see people, content creators coming out and talking about the patch from yesterday. That's pretty cool. Deuce Close coming out. That was pretty good. Nice to see him posting again. I would love to get NY Kia back out in these college football Madden streets. And I wish I can get all the guys that influence me, man, to go online and do stuff like this. So, and then who's the other one I'm thinking about? Yeah, Zando, man. Where's he at? But I loved hearing Deuce Close's video talking about some of the changes and stuff. So anyway, it's an early morning, so I don't expect a whole lot of people. I think I'll give it a couple minutes. I'm probably just gonna mess around my dynasty for a little bit and then jump into some practice mode. And you guys know who watch my streams. I like to set up my favorites, so I'm gonna with the patch. I'm gonna probably add some defenses that I like and go from there. So. I do got to get this game in as well. I don't know if I can get it in right now. 2 and 3. Oh, I'm in a bye week, so there we go. I guess that's done. Actually, I thought I played my last game, right? Let me take a look. Yeah. Almost had LSU, man. Thought I was going to get them. That's all right. So let me knock out this recruiting, wait around. I got the chat open. If anybody ever comes in here, y'all got questions, man, I'm live. You guys know I can only, I can't answer questions about the future, but I can answer questions about the present. And I may not know everything, to be honest with you. So, I'll answer what I can. Turn the sound up on the game while I'm not talking. You guys got my Discord. You can always answer or ask me questions in the Discord too if you want to just type it in, like DM me or whatever. So I'll take that. What's going on, Kyle? What's going on, man? Appreciate it, man. Yeah, things are going really well. What's up, CJ? CG? I'm call you CJ. It just rolls off my tongue better. Yeah, I think things are going well, man. It's fun. Great people. So looking at this dynasty, damn, recruiting's getting kind of hard here. But actually, no, recruiting's not hard. I can't lie. This is a really good team. So I'm using my strategies from last year. If you guys know about recruiting, you can always help me out here too. I think I'm pretty much set for this week. I think all my guys are set. These guys might move up here. No rush to go on these guys. But yeah, man, fire away, man. Whatever you guys got. Like I said, I can't answer. Obviously, I can't answer things, everything, because some things I'm still learning with you guys. But I think the big thing, you guys know my background, so you can always ask about stuff. What the hell? Funny thing too is like last year, the past year, the Patreon's shut down. I can't have a Patreon. This page is not monetized either, so everything is open source right here, and I want to do that for you guys. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure you guys if you think of something, I want to make sure you guys understand how to play the game, how it works, and how it's intended, and go from there. I haven't gotten to the portal yet, man. So I'm going to go through Dynasty and kind of learn as we go. I wonder if, that's the one thing. I know they talked about like the visits I think focusing on people in your area is huge. One thing I'm doing this year more than last year, I'm looking at the pipelines a little bit different. So I know that has a big factor. Like if I'm going up against another team, I'm not gonna probably like try to fight for everybody. Like everybody I have right here, pretty good. Trying to think if there's anybody that's close. Okay, here's a good example. Like I may not get this kid from Ohio because Cincinnati's on him. They got the what is that? The platinum pipeline. I'm ahead right now, and I don't have a visit set up. I probably should set up a visit. To be honest with you, this looks like this could come down to the wire. Let me not be silly. South Carolina's playing pretty well, but we're gonna have to potentially get in on this one right here. I know last year I kind of just waited to get guys without visiting them. That's a lot of points that you have to commit, but this is where I'm struggling. I don't have the playing style that he likes, which is weird. Pocket passer, I throw the ball a lot, so definitely. What I'm gonna do is jump on the practice field real quick. I want to look at my defense and take a look at what we got going on. Like I don't really have any. I'm using stock playbooks, and you know I like to just highlight the plays that I like to use during the game, and I try to really stick to like a game plan. But I haven't made any game plans yet. That'll be fun once we start getting to that point. I probably won't start game planning for like another 2 or 3 weeks, I think. So, but my favorite sheet always kind of looks like my game plan anyway. If you're ever watching my streams, let me post my other channel on there too. So when I play games, I always put the full game on another channel. I stopped doing commentary during the game, but that's what I kind of have this channel for, just using commentary and live stuff. Let me go find this real fast. Yeah, man, the Cardinals do use a 3 high safety defense. You're right. You know, I like how the Cardinals in real life took that approach of trying something different. You know, so I have to. You know, the preseason is always interesting to me. I can't wait to watch some of the preseason games because I think you're going to get a lot of the true base defenses. So coaches are going to try to hide some of the special stuff, but if you want to find out the personality of your team and what they do is from a core standpoint, it's always good to kind of watch the preseason. They're going to come out in the formations and defensive fronts and coverages that they really like. All right, let me just add my other page to this thing real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm just adding a link to what's going on in this league. And also other YouTube page, which has all the full games. So sometimes people just like to watch games and stuff, which I get. If you watch my games, I think I said in my last stream, I'm just kind of like in practice mode when I'm playing right now, even against humans. I'm just kind of going through, kind of getting a feel for stuff. And then everybody does the same thing. I think all of us kind of have a similar process right now. Kind of learn what you like, right? Go with whatever scheme you like, but then learn what you like and go from there. Where is this? I probably can't put the scheme on there. It's fine. What's up, Kyle? What's going on, man? I'm assuming you guys are probably East Coast at this time, probably up early like me. Well, it could be West Coast, but yeah. So let me look at defense real fast. Did you guys see the Deuce Close video? You guys get a chance to take a look at that? All right, where am I at? So flip sides. Yeah, boy, I hear you. 3 a.m. shift, man. I like that. I mean, then you get to come back home What, in the afternoon? Knock out some games? You guys getting Madden early? Early access? All right, so let me see where I'm at here. You guys got the screen. Go live on my thing over here. All right. You guys know me. I'm pretty much love match three, love match quarters. Always a part of my system. You know, the one thing I'm using the 4-2-5 playbook, so we have a good amount of fronts here. The over G, the under, the over flex, and then we can even get into some of this 3-down stuff or odd spacing stuff, which is pretty good. We still got nickel, which has a good number of plays in there. We have mint. One thing I'm going to start, I'll start talking about like maybe how I can try to work some of these fronts together, but for now I'm just focusing on coverage. So if you guys looked at the patch notes, there were some notes about certain coverages. So just put this together real quick. But let me work on nickel for now because I think that has the most amount of coverages. I'm going to move it to the top of my thing. 3 buzz, palms, Tampa 2. Right. So Tampa 2, cover 6, cover 9. For now, that's the good way to start. That's a good. Let me ask you the same question. Like, how do you use it? You know, being in the same book. Um, you know, from a personnel standpoint, think about it like this. Like most people probably put a nickel in at the strong safety position. You know, the apex, the star. I think, but honestly, if you can in the college game try to run this with a true safety, because the safety might be a guy who has a special skill set or a third safety you want on the field, then you can potentially move from these packages into this package as well. But to me, I think that's the advantage of using it. So you get different different plays out of it and go from there, right? The alignments are different. So 4-2-5, let's just take a look at it real quick. If I come out and cover 3 match, let's just come out and that's fine. We'll stay. Actually, let me put a tight end out there. I got the Ole Miss offensive book here, so it's going to be a little bit of spread heavy. I was trying to get a tight end out there. No, this is going to look really crazy, but there's no tight end formations in this playbook that are like the tight ends in line. So I'm going to have to go with this split back play just to show you what I'm talking about. Are you basing? Okay. I see what you're saying. Well, that's a philosophy thing, right? So you want to base out of the tight front. That's fine. But if you were basing out of this, probably the most popular book and probably the one that's used the most, you see that 7 technique, right? So you know that. This guy right here, inside leverage of the tight end. Alignment wise, I know there's a pass play. And then when we get into the 3-3-5, then it's gonna be a little bit different alignment wise for us. But yeah, I think it might be good. You know what I mean? I think the one thing about college football is that you have a lot of teams that play odd spacing and even spacing. So you probably even have that in the 3-3-5 book. How many even spacing plays are in the 3-3-5 playbook? I think just nickel and what else? And probably some of the dime stuff. You can see the alignment of that defensive player. He's standing up as well. That's something I kind of always appreciate with the signature kind of alignments for certain teams and certain players and whatnot. I think that's pretty cool. Having this guy stand up in this formation, but you can see he's a 9 technique, so it's a little bit different. And then also our everything else looks pretty much the same. Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, so let me just go back to some coverage stuff real quick. Let's just see here. All right, so adding these in there, let me grab all my nickels and just move them up together if I can. Okay, these are some pressures. These are some cover twos. All right. All right, so I'm just looking at this again. 3-match quarters. To me, like I've always loved playing these calls just on base downs for different reasons, to have different philosophies. This is going to be a little bit different. We got pressures here. If you guys aren't using 3 Mabel and against 3x1, then you probably should start. That's probably one of the best formations it's good against. Cover 2, invert, 2 trap, nickel 2 sim. All right, so these are obviously the cover 2 stuff here. That is our good old non-traditional Tampa stuff. So that's going to probably be really good for us. And then we have the split safety coverages, which to me, in my opinion, this is kind of, some people I think can base their whole defense out of this. You know what I mean? You guys remember back with the Fangio stuff I've kind of done in the past. You can always go back into my thing and take a look at it, but you can kind of create your own. If you make these your audibles, right, you can kind of get yourself into a defense where you can kind of sit in these 3 calls and do a whole lot, right? Maybe make quarters your base call and then go from there. So that's a really good question. I think so. 3 Mabel, I've always, and this to me, when I play, sometimes I forget to change the shells, but it depends on your scheme. Like when I did the Brian Flores scheme last year, I kind of stayed in a quarter shell or a cover. I didn't really use the cover 0 shell. I went with the quarter shell. So you have to turn that on. Obviously, you have to go to formation, turn it on. But to answer your question, I like if I want to run the I like this guys, right? I'd rather be in a too high shell and then bring it down, but there are certain formations you don't want to do that too. I might have to get out of this playbook to give myself a little more variety here because this is not going to help me. But like all this stuff is spread stuff, right? So 3x1, let's just go here, right? So obviously this is a straight up cover 3 look. The disguise is not there, but the good thing is that this is probably better versus teams that run RPOs, right? So now if I get an RPO, this guy here, this safety is already down. He can also fit the run better. But if we played that cover 2 shell, there's just so much space. It's probably better on 3rd and long on true passing downs to use that shell, in my opinion. So like you said, cover 2 shell, that's probably a decent shell. If you feel like your corners aren't going to get burned. What about you? How do you like to use it? You said your audibles are 3, 6, 9, and 2 man. Yeah, those are good calls, right? You know, the thing about our game too is a lot of times you can see the formation, right? So you really kind of know what to call if you don't mind calling it that way. But I think having those audibles versus a no huddle team is really good. But here's an example, right? Like obviously, you can see this play here. This is the stick route. The computer's just running against it. Our safety's coming down. That's the first throw. The QB is throwing it quick. But obviously, if we were in a different shell, it'd be better, you know? So comes to disguise. The one thing I like about disguise, in my opinion, is the great thing. I've always been this way. I like single high disguise and playing 2 high defenses. That's always been one of my things. If you can hold up year by year, you know? So Good. I'm with you there. I think that's something that you can do. And then also you can kind of take this formation, and if you're using like the backside guy, you can kind of you don't have to necessarily run out of there if you want to try to just hold off this throw, right, and then go maybe, right. That's something you can kind of take a look at. Let's see something real quick. I'm gonna send. Let me know if the video is kind of laggy. It looks a little choppy on my computer, but right. So that's weird. I'm surprised it's doing that. Oh, my internet's acting up this morning. That's why I was having trouble getting on. Let me let it run. Let me see what's going on here. Maybe I can reduce the frame rate. All right. Let me check the gameplay. I don't know why it's a little laggy. Yeah, it is getting laggy. You guys are right. That's weird, right? Hold on. I saw your question, bro. I'm going to answer in 1 second. Trying to figure out what's going on with the stream. Let me just go out of my franchise and just go to regular practice mode. Be better anyway to get some better coverages. I mean, better offensive formations. And then also, give me 1 second. I'm gonna disconnect from my whatchamacallit, my PlayStation. I'm gonna turn off the internet. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna switch over here. All right, I just turned off the internet on my PlayStation. Hopefully that can make a little bit of a difference. All right, let me jump into practice mode. So yeah, cover three. So cover three match, right? So the thing that is different in cover three match is the China concepts, the China rules. So our corners are playing mod technique, and they are different than mess technique from last year. If you remember, mess technique was basically man on your guy, number one, unless he runs a drag, a shallow, right? Because that's what it means in real life, man accepts shallows. But I always talked about it was man accepts shallows, smokes, and spot routes, the 3 S's. But now it has kind of gone, I think it was like this at one point, right? Back in the day, but basically it's going to be a China concept where that corner is going to play deep third against any type of route that's under 6 yards. So that kind of opens up, it kind of makes it so that a lot of the popular stuff that, you know, people will try to take advantage of, it's going to be a little bit different. And also this applies to zone pressure too. So that's a big thing. So let me pick a team that has a decent playbook if I can. The one thing about the teams in this game, sometimes it matters who you play with, because to get a look, let me go with Ohio State. Let me just do that real quick. Should be pretty good. 4-2-5. All right. I'll show some examples here in a second. So we should be good. Actually, let me get 2 controllers going real fast. I'll put the level on All-American. I usually play Heisman, but, you know, we're in practice mode. I'll switch it down a little bit. All right. Yeah, the slot fade. Yep. They're going to take the corners are going to take the slot fade. So that's a big one, right? All right. Hopefully this is a little bit better. Let me just run a China concept and just hopefully it's not too laggy in the video. I'll try to pride myself for having good video. I don't know what's going on. It's been so long, I guess, right? So 3x1, 2x2. Let's just look at 2x2 to start. I mean 3x1. That's probably the biggest one. There we go. So good old shock H option, right? That's a big one. And I'm just going to call a 3 match. And let me just move the ball over. Give myself a little room here. Yeah, they're basically playing 1/3. So as we go through this right here, you see our deep corner, right? So now he's back there playing 1/3. Let me see how smooth this looks for you guys. I'm looking at the replay. I'm a little bit ahead of you guys. Okay, it's not too bad. It's a little choppy still, but that stinks. I don't know why that's the case. Let me see if I can drop my frame rate down a little bit here. Never done it while I'm streaming, so let me see. The 7,000. I don't know. Let's keep on working. So anyway, yeah. So that's basically big. So if you get also, let's go with another concept here. Let me find an actual real spread out formation that we can see it. All of the indie type concepts, right? That's another one. Let me do it from levels concept. It would be. Of course, this playbook doesn't have what I want. I can create it real fast. No big deal. All right, let me just create one. Take the mills. Take any of these to cover. And again, this is all the cover 3 matches, so including like Buzz Mabel. It's not the formation I want right now. Give me a second. Let's go normal 3x1 here. You know, I think I'll definitely cut this up in the future so you guys can have it later on. But let's just take a look real quick. So let's just go with the good old Indy 7 concept. That's what I call it, right? So you're going to get skinny being called, right? The skinny concept would be the way it's played. But then what happens is that it turns into zone, right? So that corner is going to drop back on this situation. So that's what you want. That's the change. That's the big change, in my opinion. That your corner would now end up playing that deep third. Yeah, man. I think that's something that I'll take a look at. Now, there'll be things that will be better overall. Let me see another example of something here that I think would be good for us. Go with All right. Now versus 3x1, I personally like to use Buzz Mabel. That's kind of like my preference of choice, but I'm just going to show you again, just regular 3 match here. different formations. I remember seeing somebody post about, hey, why is it like formations are different? Actually, no, my fault. Let me go back to regular 3x1. Formation spacing sometimes is different with different routes. That's the way it is in real life too. Guys come out in different formation spacing, and it kind of gives the defense a tell. But offensive players or offensive teams, let me see if there's anything in here, actually want to get into they want to basically get where they have to go. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they'd rather line up in something that may not be ideal or may kind of give away a tell, but they want to make sure that they get to their spots. They kind of don't think defensive guys are going to see that anyway. And this playbook is kind of interesting how this is over on the other side. I think using a good playbook is also really key to kind of go over some of this stuff. Let me switch out of this real quick. I'm not getting the plays that I want. So the one thing about cover 3 match is going to be similar to cover 4 quarters. So quarters is going to give you that same type of technique. No, I mean, we call this mod technique, right? On the outside. So mod technique with the corner when he's off in quarters, mod technique in cover 3 match, same thing. So there's a little bit of overlap there. You guys have any playbooks you want me to take a look at? I'll definitely rock with y'all. There's like certain formations you want me to take a look at. I don't have a custom playbook right now with all the different like usually when I did this in the past, I would always have, you know, like almost like a teach tape type of offensive playbook I can use. So I can go through all the different styles of formations. But you know, college is very unique when it comes to this. So you got to basically get going. But this is what I want. I just want to make sure we get into some basic stuff here. Oops, one. It's fine. Over G, I love it real quick. Just move over here a little bit. Give myself some space. All right, I'm just gonna run through a couple plays. Hopefully it's not too choppy again, but so as you know, match ratings matter. Obviously, how good your guys have zone and man, both of those things matter because that's what match takes care of. But you can also see that we still have our inside strong hook player, right? He got a little bit off there because probably the bump got him there. But he's going to match 3 on that corner route. Okay. Let's just go to regular 4 verticals. Let me get into a different front. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, a lot of run concepts from the trip snub. Yep, that could be a big tell. Absolutely. You know, most people are going to get into that formation to run the ball. That's like the number one thing that people get into trip snub to do. I feel like it. But then the passing game is good. The tight end passing game, the streak passing game, but that's pretty much what people love. So you see something here. I just want to give an example, get hopefully a good example here. A 3-up player on the weak side. It's going to take that deep crossing route. So your weak side hook defender. You can see him on the backside there. So again, I don't know about Louisville exactly what their rankings are in defense, so it's gonna make a little bit of a difference. But I think that's kind of like what people, you know, I think people used to always get into 3x1 formations to either run the ball, but obviously throw it to the middle of the field, throw it to those seams. This is always going to give you good outside leverage. I think Deuce Close's video talked about the leverage of the seam route and where he's playing on number 2 in general. You know, low and outside, it's kind of like cover 1 mentality. Low and outside is okay because you have help where deep and inside. So that's good. But I understand the idea of maybe somebody running past them. You can always play with your leverages and play with your pre-snap alignments and kind of get that into maybe a better situation for you. So, all right, let me see. Anything else with cover 3 seam? So the good thing about that is now also that will make a difference on if you call, like, let's say cover 3 zone pressure. So let me get an example here. Let's go with this 3 deep, 3 under, right? Let me see if we actually have some real concepts in here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Levels. All right. Yeah, we probably got some regular levels plays here. I know we have more than this. I don't know why it's not showing up here. Let me go to the formation. Let me go to empty formation. All right. So this example here, levels with the corner out at 3. We're sending 3. So 3 deep, 3 under coverage, right? But again, the deep coverage with our corner on the outside, when you watch them, we get the shin routes, the 5-yard shins. So then now, instead of this being a situation where your 3 rec has to go match up on this corner route, right? Now our corner is sitting back here and playing deep third on the outside. So I think that's something that would be good for going forward. I think that'd be a nice little change for now. What else you guys got, man? Yeah, the backers and the inside. So that's something that was a big thing too, where when you came out in just like 3x1. Let me try to see, because the college game's a little bit different, but let me try to do this real quick. I'm going to come out and I'm going to go with 3 match again, right? I'm just going to stick with it for now. This is a little bit different because of the field. Let me go into the middle of the field here. So you'll see that weak side backer. He doesn't go sprinting over to the right-hand side, right? I mean, to the left-hand side. So this guy, this weak side hook player, he's a little bit slower. He's still looking for 3 up, obviously, so he has to work over towards that side. But that used to be a really big, it's still a gap, you know, with this guy getting a lot of depth right now and getting outside, but he's in better position to obviously take him on the 3 up and then also just transition and play zone, you know, if something happens where somebody comes under. So something to take a look at there. Well, that's the one thing. That's a good question. About mesh. Mesh is always going to challenge match coverage. So the one thing of, you know how I used to do the videos back in the day, I would talk about the weaknesses of each coverage. And then the years that I spent coaching, that was what we worked on the most. So if I were you, I would just jump into the game, play your match coverages, cover 3 match, quarters, whatever it is. Look at mesh and just try to come up with a way that you want to maybe adjust to it. I'll be honest with you, if I know somebody's in mesh a lot, I'm probably going to play more just regular zone. I'm going to call cover 3 sky more. But cover 3 match and quarters will convert. Not convert, but cover 3 match will turn into spot drop country cover 3 in a sense once an under happens. So that's something that you guys understand those rules. I talked about the outside guy running under 5 yards, but it also happens when an inside guy is running 5 yards and under. So that side turns into zone coverage. But that would be something to take a look at. CG. But let's just take a look here. I'm not going to go through it all right now, but I'm going to take a look at number 2 running under. Right? So you see how, oops. There was a little bit of a late match in the middle of the field, but overall, this side still turns into zone coverage here, right? He turns back into his curl flat drop at this point. But working out this, and again, you're going to get different results depending on your player, right? How quickly he understands this. And maybe this is the guy you want to use it here, but he should be available as well over here on the weak side, depending on the route of two, okay? But mesh is always going to be tough, especially out of the good thing is though they come out like in a tight formation, which I don't think I have right now. You know, the coverage automatically checks out of match coverage if you come out in some type of bunch or stack formation. So let me just kind of think I have a bunch here, like a bunch nasty. And you'll probably see more of this when you get into like Madden and stuff like that. I don't have a play I can really audible out of. Hold on one second. I'll just take this spacing play. Gonna be kind of hard to create this right here. This is not realistic, guys. I'm just trying to give you something. Let me just keep this guy in. Hold on. I guess I could motion this guy over. Hold on one second. All right, it's not horrible, but it's just a starting point. But when you're in these type of formations, guys are playing zone coverage to start. Okay, so they're automatically playing zone, so you don't have to worry about them necessarily getting in and out of match and not match. Now, this guy is kind of relating to one right here, so that's why he's getting a lot of depth, right? So that may be something to take a look at. Because these seam players are still going to make sure that they kind of like, I don't want to say hold off the seam, but they're going to play deep to short. So guys are going to probably throw this route there. So that's where you might want to take a look at just also just checking out of it yourself for now. But that's something we'll take a look at. No, that's good. We can go into that. Let's take a look at that as well. Cover four, right? So we're talking about four strong like this versus, let's just go against this route right here. So let's take quarters. Again, I don't have, let me put better athletes on the field too a little bit. Right now, this is again what I was talking about. I'm playing the 4-2-5 over G. You know, again, if you can get into dime, if you feel comfortable doing it, but let's just get into this. Hopefully a little bit better. So we'll play quarters and we'll give ourselves a 4x1 formation here. Let's get ourselves over a little bit. Yeah, the push call. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So you guys can take a look at this right here. We'll take a look at the replay. So this is probably something that I know if you guys probably played the beta, you saw it in Madden, but this is also in college. So we get the 4x1 formation. Again, if you don't recognize what 4x1 is, it's four players on the right side of this of the quarterback here, right? So it's trip strong. Don't get it confused with 4x1 empty. It's just this type of formation here. So it's trip strong, which is a popular formation for people. But you can see our nickel, right? He's our quarter flat. He's going to relate now to the new number 2 there in that case. All right. Our safety is still playing quarters. So he's still going to take the out. That is the weakness of the coverage, right? Outbreaking routes is sometimes still a weakness of the coverage. You can see the front side quarter flat defender, right? In this case, his responsibility was the back, but now it's basically been pushed out to the nickel. So he ends up kind of like looking for work for anybody coming in, but he doesn't have anything. And then our weak side quarter flat defender is looking to relate to the new number 4 over here. All right, he's looking for that number 4, okay, or that drag coming from this side. Let me see how it is, obviously, versus a drag. It's always different when you get the different type of routes that can hit you fast, how quickly that linebacker makes a move there. But I think overall, he's in pretty good shape to do that. You know, technique is something that a lot of people, I think what's going to happen this year, and I don't like to assume anything, but, you know, technique is something that people are going to critique. And that's something as a coach you always have to work on, right? That's something that's there. But the logic of how it's working is probably the most important thing so you can actually play. But you can see that weak side backer is taking that crossing route, that drag route. Not bad, right? The safety took that out way better than the previous games. Yeah, you're probably right about that. He did take that out pretty well, right? So let me take a look at some other situations. Now, when we go back as well, let me take a look at quarters, right? And let's take a look at just normal 3x1. If I miss any questions, I'm looking at the chat. It's kind of far away from me right now. We're good. So something else too. Again, going back to the same concept that we had with the China concept. Where are we at? I don't have enough of these plays in here. Okay, I guess we can go back and use. I don't really want to use empty right now. Let me just go to 3. I'm just gonna have to create some of these plays on the fly here, guys. That's why I have 2 controllers. And just take verticals. All right, so same thing. And you guys know this from the past, but something that actually, hold on, let me try to find a better route concept for you. I'm thinking about one thing in particular here. Give me 1 second. Not easy to do this live on the fly. Here we go. Let's go with this. Okay, this may not give me exactly what I want, but it's going to be close enough. Fake screen wheel. Quarters. Okay, so this is not spread out like how I want. But let me just work this out real quick. Okay. Give me 1. Oh, we are still... Yeah, this formation might be a little bit different. Okay. No, we're good, though. All right. Can I move the back over? It doesn't matter. So on this play here, this is a outside guy running the smoke, and then you got the fade on number 2. So in quarters coverage, our corner and our safety, right, they'll work out a little bit better against what's going on with 1 and 2. So instead of just the safety running over to that number 2, that fade route, right? If number 1 comes inside, like on a shallow or something like that, on a slant, he would recalculate and say, okay, well, now who's the new number 2, right? Which used to always be kind of an issue. Now I know you got the poaching safety on the backside, but this is also 4x1. But you can see here, like if you look at last year's game, sometimes the safety would just go running out to this guy. This guy would be running out here, right? But against this type of China concept, and it does depend on the spacing. So if this was like a tight formation, they'd be playing a different coverage, they'd be playing box. But in general, the safety is going to have consciousness to this and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to be there. Now we have a poaching safety that's also coming over as well. But at some point he would recognize that, sometimes you'll see him double team this guy, but sometimes you'll see him say, hey, I know he's matched by 2, so let me go back and help out with 1 week. So that's something that overall just makes these guys a little bit smarter in the back end and quarters coverage, and palms as well, to be able to play out some of these deep combinations. All right. So that's kind of like a small thing. But in general, if I had a better formation here, you're going to get the same kind of China concepts that you would get, or China rules with 3x1 and quarters with our mod corners. I'm trying to think. All right. Quarters coverage. Any other questions with quarters coverage in general? That was a good one, though. Appreciate you staying up and hanging out with your boy. Before I know it, it'll be the sun will be up. Let me see something real quick. Like I said, I know this is kind of like an open stream, and this is, I think, the funny thing is that you could probably get some AI apps. I know I kind of playing around with it myself. You can kind of get some things to summarize a long podcast. So somebody goes for like 2 or 3 hours, you could just kind of take and get some summaries probably off of using some sort of AI tool. All right. What's the question is what's changed about cover two match? So cover two match is basically, you guys remember how in quarter and cover six, the backside is playing cover two. But the one thing I think that sometimes was misunderstood is how are they playing cover two, right? You would get that soft squat corner and you get that vertical hook and you'd be like, all right, well, what's going on? Cover two match idea is playing more of it's an NFL kind of style. I know some people use different words for it. I think if you looked at the first notes that we had up there, some people will call it too wild or too carry on the backside. But let me just try to find cover six real quick. I'll just kind of go over a little bit of what's going on here and go regular 2x2, hopefully. All right. So let's kind of go on the right hash here. Just keep in the middle field. Let's kind of give myself a little room here. So the vertical hook now, all right, he's always taken verticals, but I know last year sometimes there'd be some routes where he wouldn't cover, like on deep crossing routes. But this player right here can take care of inside breaking routes and also vertical routes. Okay, so he's going to take care of anything from number two. He's reading 2-1, basically. And if two goes inside, two goes vertical, he'll stay with it, right? Our if number two was to work out real fast, let me just kind of go through that example. Let me just show it to you real quick instead of going through every single thing. All right, so he's basically matching him right on that straight vertical route. Let's go with another example. We have let me just change the formation real quick because number three does matter. I'm going to talk about that real quick, but let me just change the back location. I have another, there we go. This would be better to start with. I'm rusty, man. It's preseason for me too, so I got to get into teaching mode a little bit here. All right, so we got verticals, right? Let me put the tight end on like a post route. Right, so that vertical hook, he's on that. You guys remember last year, sometimes he would let that go. If you put number two on like a deep crossing route, right, he's on that as well. So think of it as the good thing about this, and let me just put him on a drag route. He's taking care of that guy on inside and vertical routes. So think of it almost like a seam flat, but the opposite way. You know how seam flat takes everything vertical and outside, it does a pretty good job. So this would be the same thing when it comes to that. Now, if number two is to work out, which I don't know if I can get a real good example. Okay, here we go. All right. So there's an example now. Number two works out. Our corner, right? He's going to be able to play that. Our corner is reading 1-2. Same thing as what we had in the past, but he lets that go. I'll go over the corners rules in a second, but that's pretty much the good thing about it. So it kind of becomes that late trap coverage there. Let's go with the corner route. All right, same thing there. So our corner does a good job. We watched Deuce's video, did a good job talking about it. Our corner does a good job of coming off on the routes that are breaking outside, not just short, obviously, but also deep. Depends on how deep the routes are, how deep it goes. If it goes really far down the field, they'll probably lock onto their guy. Now, here's the other thing. So our corner on the outside, he has his basic sync rules that we had in the past, right? Soft squat rules. Let me see if there's any questions real quick before I move on. Yeah, you just wander off, you're right. You notice that, what is this saying here? You notice well-being starting place. Yeah, the vertical hook assignment in your hot routes is something that you got to look into because that's something that may not always show up in every single player. So you got to be, a lot of times if you're in dime personnel, you'll be fine. The nickels, you'll be fine. Linebackers may not have that ability to get into it. So just know that. I'm looking at cover 6, Kyle. Yeah. You did? Well, then that's cool. I want to get his opinions on it. So there's a lot more to this coverage because it's going to be something I think that's good. I think cover 6, a lot of things about cover 6 is that it's pretty much, in my personal opinion, I don't know for a fact, but the number one coverage, kind of like in the NFL. It's kind of the way it works, but now you can kind of work it different ways. So let's talk about the soft squat. Soft squat's reading 1 to 2. Okay. If we get 1 and 2 vertical, right, he's going to match number 1. It's almost like he's playing 2-man, but kind of like to the outside, right? If we get a situation where, try to get another example. We already did the out situation, so we get the quick out. We already saw that. The corner out, we already saw that. I think the one thing I love about this so far is if you get an out route here. I know actually, let me get him on a flat route. Flat route. Do we have that from here? We don't. He has to be aligned. He has to be out here, I think, to get a flat route, right? All right, so flat route, all right, and a slant. So we get quick game. Now, the ability of your linebacker is going to make a difference here, all right? But when 2 goes out and 1 comes in on a quick exchange, those 2 guys will basically, I don't want to use the word in and out, but it's kind of like an in and out, all right? So check it out. Those guys are switching responsibilities there. And they're still going to match up on those guys. So let's think about it. This is where the matching principle comes in, okay? So there, the funny thing is that you can call it, I get him out of the thing. You can call it a man match, but it's more of like a zone match in this situation. Here, there. Sorry. Slant. Okay, so just this type of combination, those 2 guys would exchange. So I think that's something that you will like. Now, that's the beginning of that part. Now, the hardest things and what beats the coverage is going to be potentially, like, let's go double ends, right? So if we get double ends like this, our corner is going to be playing that outside guy. He might have outside leverage, but he's going to stay on him. So our corner is going to say, hey, obviously, if I don't have any work there, he's going to take it. 2 goes in, 1 goes in. I stay on this guy as well. So you guys can kind of feel where you can kind of use this in different ways. Let me see if there's any other route combos that I could think of. Just want to show you. So the one thing is overall, you can obviously take this coverage and make some audibles and turn it into just regular zone coverage as well if you just make some hot routes on the field. So that's the one thing. So it's kind of there for you to, this is the hard part, obviously, but this is also really good against certain things. Now, the good thing is that this is not just the backside of cover 6, right? It's also the front side of cover 9. So if you wanted to go up against a team and get the same logic, you can put it to the front side and play cover 9. So that's something that's pretty good. Let's call some plays here. So now we're playing cover 9 to the front side. I didn't talk about the 3-rec player. I'm going to talk about him in a second. Front side over here to the left. Okay. So I think Deuce talked about this, and I was fun. When I was watching Deuce's video, I was laughing because I was curious if he was going to kind of figure it out. But let me just see something real quick. Let me just show you something here. Okay. So the the Fangio style would be pretty good. I'll give you the dagger versus cover 6 in a second, Kyle. Apologize. I wish I had the other play. Now, this inside vertical hook player, right? When 2 works out, he'll look to 1. And if 1 is not running too deep, like running a straight vertical, he will try to get underneath that. But you can see here, this backside safety, right? When he only has 1 guy deep, he's not going to just float and just play outside. He's also going to have awareness and try to understand, okay, is he going to match the guy 100% of the time? Not if somebody's matching him. No. If somebody's matching him, then the safety would be a little bit more conscious of playing his deep half. But if nobody's matching this guy for whatever reason, then that safety would have more awareness. And he would basically end up matching that guy deep if there's only one vertical. So it happens sometimes where you get this type of route here that I did earlier. Our vertical hook is not going to match the deep player, but our safety will. Okay, he has the ability in his rule set to be able to do that. So I think that's something that I know Deuce talked about in his video. He realized it at the end, but I'm happy he found that. This guy here, this safety only has one guy to worry about, or then he'll worry about him. Because a lot of people used to always take this combination, run like a 10-yard out, and then obviously run like a post over here. And you would have this guy butt naked. So that's where the matching principles works for you when it comes to this coverage. So play with it, see if you like it. Let's talk about number 3. There's the 3 receiver hook here. Actually, let me go back to the dagger concept. You want the backside dagger, right? I guess I could do it front side, but we'll go backside dagger here. We can take this play and run it. I'll go cover 6. I'm always a little bit behind in the chat, guys, so I apologize. Kind of giving you some of the base information here that I think can help you just kind of, and you can kind of start thinking about all the different possibilities of how this thing can help you out here. So 2 vertical. So this has always been, I don't want to call it a beater, but our outside corner, right? The same thing when this is no different than when number 2 ran in on a 5-yard in. He's going to play underneath, right? And he's going to basically stay on 1. It's almost going to look like he's playing 2-man. Now he's a little bit over the top here. You know, let me get a deeper dig. This dig is not really going that deep. Most digs are like 15 yards. It might be a little bit too deep. But our corner is going to match this guy if I cannot get sacked right away. So does that answer the question on the dagger? Let me try to actually not get who's sacked. Let me actually jimmy rig this up a little bit. Come on. All right, so now we get some actual look at the play. All right. Okay, good question, CG. Yes, so this is going to be probably something that I think I was watching somebody else do a video on this yesterday, and they didn't get this part right. So the big part about this defense is who is next to the vertical hook, right? So let me just kind of go back to it. This is where I wanted to use the back is offset to the weak side here, okay? Let's just go from teaching purposes, the flood route, okay. Well, before I even get, I'll show you both things, but let me just get cover 6 up. So, you know, you guys understand how like Banjo works when you call cover 1, right? Or cover 0, or just any type of situation where 3 rec would work with the man coverage defender if you're playing like cover 1, and they would work on basically 2 and 3. Well, this is similar, right? Where the 3 rec player over here, he is working off of 3, right? Where's number 3? Well, it's the running back in the backfield. So if 3 was to work out, right, basically he's playing with 3 goes. So if 3 goes out to the left, he'll take him, right? 3 goes out to the right, technically he should take him, right? However, he's not in good position. So you guys can kind of see where I might be going with this. The vertical hook, as long as these 2 guys are next to each other, that's why it's best to leave it stock, right? He would work with him, and he would end up basically almost like a push, right? And he would end up taking the back, and our vertical 3 rec player would end up taking the rules of the vertical hook. So let's just take an example here. Hopefully this hopefully this works as intended. All right, so you see that right there? So the way I kind of, you know, understand it from a standpoint of, hey, let's make it make sense. It's a push call, right? But really what we're doing is just taking the vertical hook player, and he is now the 3 rec, right? And then our 3-rec becomes our new vertical hook. So that's important for you to know if you're using this 3-rec player. Okay, that this could potentially happen. But I think it's good that you see that. Let me go back to the original play here. This is just the out route, the deep out, but it should be the same thing, right? So back in the day, that route right here used to break cover 6, right? You used to be able to put it back in the flat, and then nobody would cover number 2 vertical, and it would be like an easy 1-play touchdown. But now we're still getting those matching principles. Yeah, you're right about that. Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. That is a good question. That is a great question. Let's go back to this. I'll just run the same play. All right. I want to play it like I think I should, right? I was telling you not to. There you go. I must have the audio, the visual on. I don't usually leave that on. I'm surprised that's on right now. I'm wondering if it's my level. That's good that it actually came on. I think that's the everybody's been using that now. You can see what your assignments are. So there you go. There's your answer, right? No. So the great thing I think is the funny thing is that using the vertical hook, I mean the 3-rec would used to always be the thing to do. But this is no different than banjo. The banjo won't happen if you're using him. So good job at that one. Good question. Good question. All right, let me give another example that I think might be pretty good here. Go with but play around with that. I don't want to give you everything, guys. I want you guys to go and open the game up and play with it and kind of go from there. Let's talk about some concepts real quick, if I remember correctly. Let's see how red zone scissors looks, right, versus cover 6. I'm not gonna use anybody here. I'm just gonna let it play out. This has always been a play that people love. Let me get off of this guy. I want to see your response on that one, CG. But I think it's smart that if you're using the 3-rec player. Oh, before I even get to this play, well, some people are going to do something like this. They're going to call Tampa 2, right? And then let's just say to this side, they're going to put this guy into a vertical hook. These two guys don't work the same way. Okay, just so you know. So like the middle read here is not going to work with the vertical hook the way a 3-rec player is. All right, so think of a vertical hook by default right now as a true, like a seam flat. It's a man matching principle assignment, and it's going to work better next to another man matching principle assignment. If you have the middle read, you might get some different results from the standpoint of these guys won't necessarily work together. Okay, so that's that. But you can definitely stick a vertical hook out there and see what you think, and kind of I like to hear your feedback on it. So let me go back to the original play here. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's just work this one here. So what do you think should happen, right? Let's just take a look at the routes. All right, we got 1 on a post, right? But 2's out to the flat. So this is a situation where the corner is looking at that. He's going to see that. I want to show you how he plays this, right? 3 runs a corner route. So who's in a tough spot there? It's going to be who? That 3-rec player. This guy here, he's in a tough spot to go get to number 3. But these two guys might work together. Let's see what happens. Let's turn it on. Okay. Let me let it do it one more time. So what you're seeing here is the part that makes this actually a zone match defense when it comes to the corner's responsibility. The corner on the outside, right? He has a situation here where 1 is vertical, doesn't really matter, but he sees 2 to the flat. If the corner ever gets somebody to the flat, doesn't matter who it is, right? And also another player that's also threatening the flat, the corner is going to end up playing like almost like a cloud corner. He's going to play high to low. So he's going to end up going deep to short. He's going to kind of hold the window and then react down to the short route. All right. So that's something just to think about. That's kind of something that could happen. All right. Now it ends up obviously working out for this play because it kind of like holds off the route that needs some help. It feels like it's choppy here. Our um number 3 is running this way. Our 3 rack is really running over there fast to get him. Actually, he did stay on him. Okay, my fault there. Thought he was going to switch off on him there, so he did not. He ended up playing that. Okay. Our vertical hook technically doesn't have anybody because all he's thinking is 2 is out, right? 1 is vertical. So he's like, all right. So he ends up zoning off. Our deep safety back there is playing deep half, right? But what does he have? He has a vertical route that's not matched by anybody. So he's going to go take that post. I don't know why my thing is so choppy, man. I apologize. So, yeah, make you look silly. Well, let's take a look at this real quick. Let me just kind of go back on that cover 6 because this is something that I think could become confusing. But let's go with an example of number 1 runs a 5-yard out and number 2 runs a 10-yard out. Something like this. Watch the corner on the right. Okay, so this is how the soft squat's going to play anytime he gets, and this route is probably a little bit too deep for number 2, but he's not going to just jump 1. If 1 runs to the flat, but then also there's a threat of 2 also going out to the flat, he's going to play deep to short in this situation. So it's almost similar to playing like a cloud flat. Okay, so that helps when it comes to that. And that's something to think about when it comes to other formations that I may not be able to show you right now, but this is also going to be really cool against a lot of those stack formations or bunch formations. I don't think I have a really good example of bunch right now, but let me see. Need to get a playbook with bunch. Let me just go back to that example. Let me give you like a more real life example here. I'm trying to think what would be a better one. I guess technically if you just got smash, right? If we just get like an old school smash, 2x2 smash. Let's take a look at that real quick. I'll still go 3x1 version. Yeah, let's take a look at the spot real quick. This would be interesting. Take a look at. I'm just gonna keep the back end just to kind of make it simple to start. He's running too far inside. All right, let me just run a hitch and then stem it down. I know there's a new guy out there who's also doing content. I forget his name. He was talking a lot about the spot concept. I'm like, damn, I don't see people running spot that much. But spot could be interesting. Okay. So that corner route's a little bit deep. But again, this is an example of how this coverage is going to be played if you get some sort of high-low. Don't expect it to be like, hey, well, everything's going to be locked up man to man. No, the corner is going to get his depth if he feels a threat and take the deeper one. Now, he kind of sprinted out of there. All right. He's not sure if this guy's going to match him or not. He's not sure how deep the route is, but he's going to try to protect it. That's why if you saw in the patch notes, it said something better, taking care of outside breaking routes a little bit better. Let me put this guy, let me run the regular route. I was just curious to see what happens here. Okay. Yep. So this just matches up almost like, it looks almost like a soft 2-man. Because this route out here is kind of hard to tell exactly what he's doing, right? You don't know if he's going vertical or not. So the corner ends up staying on him, and our backer ends up pushing through, taking 3. So it looks like 2-man. You combine this with 2-man, I think it'd be really nice. You'd be eating with the air raid guys. Love that spot concept. All right. Let me see if I can get a bunch formation real quick, because that's going to be interesting as well. My fault. Might have to find a new playbook for this one to really kind of go into bunch, whereas I don't have bunch in this playbook. That's my fault. I'll use this one under center and just try to cook something up. Let's go to the, that doesn't matter what side of the field. All right, I screwed that up. Let me go cover 9 versus this. So this is where we want to play the 2-match concept to the strong side. All right, cover 9. So strong side, right? We got all those players over there on the right. I'll let other people kind of talk about routes that are popular, okay? But I will just kind of mention one that I think everybody knows is the stem down corners. Yeah, let's move over a little bit. All right, where is it at? Da, da, da. So if you play people online, you're probably going to see stuff like this, right? So here. Okay, so I'm just going to let this thing run. And you guys see what happened, right? So what you're getting here is our outside corner, right? In this situation, all he's reading technically is 1 and 2 from the start of the play. Okay, so this is not like box where we're reading the final 1, final 2. The corner is just concerned with 1 and 2. All right. So 2 goes in, he's got 1. Right. And now he's going to be on that stem down corner. Over here, 2 goes in. In this example, our vertical hook player just took him. Look at him hand fighting. Never seen that before. I kind of like that. I like that, man. I see that. I see you guys. All right. And then over here, our 3-rec he just went right to him. Now, don't be surprised that sometimes that the 3-rec and the vertical hook switch this. So they might switch assignments. But I just wanted to show you that because what you're kind of getting is, and I hate to use the word, it's almost like a limbo in and out coverage with those 2 guys against these type of routes. So play around with this stuff, man. Go into stacks, go into bunches, use it and see how it plays out for you because you might end up liking some of the combinations that we can kind of play. Now, if both guys ran vertical, then we're good to go. If we got a situation where they switch release, then their responsibilities will switch release. You know, they'll switch their responsibilities. They're in and out it basically. So I wanted to show you that. Yes, CG, you're right. Absolutely. We be eating up the same content. Yeah, man. I think I think his name is Spruce. No, what is it? What is his name? Sports? I like him, man. I like his stuff. The one thing, once he gets on and starts doing more, some of the rules, I think he did a video on cover 3 match, and then the next day the patch dropped. And the China concept came out and it was like, oh, he's playing mod now. Yep, the next day. So I think he realized, okay, all right. I'm surprised he put out the video the day of the patch notes, and that's interesting. But the good thing is that mess concept is still a concept that we can use. I wish I could have linked them to the video that I did last year. But the mess concept in cover 3 match, where the corner is basically playing man except shallows, is something that is still not, it's not a horrible concept, but overall, things change sometimes. You never know what's going to happen in the future. All right, so that's big. And then the last thing is cover 2 zone pressure. You're going to get the same matching principles default. So just understand that if you're going to use it, just be aware of that. So let's go to, you know what, let's put it all together because I haven't talked about the deep safeties, which is something that I think a lot of people have noticed how they get more depth and width. But now we can start playing some of this, what do you call it, coverages, non-traditional Tampas, right? Let me just take a look at this real quick. I would just be careful of your linebacker just walking up. That's something you might want to take a look at, but just in general, you might want to use the cover 3 shell. Make sure he stays back here. It's up to you. But anyway, overall, right? We got 4 verticals here, which is always going to be a tough play, but we're going to bring pressure here. So our vertical hooks and our soft squats are using the same rules here that we just talked about in covers 9 and cover 6. So let's just take a look. All right, be careful with the weak side here when it comes to. Okay, so you have to be careful of look at the different zone pressures throughout the cycle and just make sure that you know what kind of flats are on the field. All right, so this flat right here is a cloud flat because it's a safety. All right, but obviously you can do certain things and work with that and just make sure you check that type of stuff. But overall, look at the left-hand side, we're gonna get the same thing. So if I was to get like a concept where 2 was working out to the flat, 1's running like a post or a slant, we should get a switch on the left-hand side right here. So you should be really sound. I think it's something else I didn't talk about. One of the things about the vertical hook that a lot of people like to do is do what? Zig routes. All right. So just a basic zig route. The vertical hook is going to take that. So because he worked in the start, the vertical hook is going to end up still matching him. So once he works in, that counts as an in-breaking route. He buys him, he stays on him. So that's something that this vertical hook is also going to do a good job is playing the high frequency zig routes that people like to run. If he was to run like a shallow route as well, then vertical hooks back in the day didn't match him inside, but now you're going to get him to match inside. So I think this opens up your cover 2 passing game. I mean, cover 2 blitz game a little bit. So you got the combination of what? You got the good safety working deep and wide on the outside. And then you got your vertical hook that's going to do a good job of matching number 2 here. So I think that's pretty cool. Our corner on the backside on these inverts are still, they're playing deep half. They're just playing regular deep half. They're not playing with the same awareness that we talked about where he's going to end up matching if there's only one vertical. It's a little bit different when it comes to that. Oh, okay, that's our south side. Yeah, I forgot to hit up south side. I hope he sees this later on. I'll definitely send him a video. He would call it. What would he do though with the? Oh, is this where he put the? Wouldn't he use the? Wouldn't he use seam flat? If I'm not mistaken, last year. Oh, okay. So he would use her. He would become like the 3 receiver hook player, and he would basically help out where needed. Well, the great thing is, I like to see what you guys cook up this year, man. I think you can have some fun with that. All right, I think that was pretty much it. The hard flats, that's obviously a little bit better. I think that's kind of self-explanatory there. Um, I know that was a pain point. 2-man, we're good there, but I feel like I'm missing something else. Da, da, da. Yeah, that's it for me. I think I got right now from the patch, from the overall like the beginning of the game when it came out. Um, the one thing I'm actually pretty interested to see is that cover 2 has become like, I hate to use the word the meta because it's actually real life's cover 2, and people are using it as like their stock defense. And I'm talking about competitive guys, and that's really cool to see that. See the competitive in the sim world come together and use that. Where's NY Kia? I would love for him to use cover 2 right now. That'd be great to see how he uses cover 2. That'd be dope. So if Southside had like 20 different custom plays using cover 2 match, he's gonna have fun with this. He is gonna have fun with this. And let me show you one more thing real quick. When it comes to 3x1, so this is the last part of cover 2 match. if you're gonna go with again with nickel 2 trap, right? Let me see if I can find a different version of this. Let me just call the cover 2 pressures. Where is it at? I'm just trying to find something like mint. That's actually, well, that's not really. That's really Tampa there. We'll use this one here. So 3x1 is always a tough formation, but if you leave it stock, right, and you get 4 verticals, two vertical hooks on the field at the same time work together as well. They're friendly, okay? So here we got a vertical hook here, and we got a vertical hook here. So versus 3x1, watch how this works out over this one. All right, so our strong vertical hook will take 2, and our weak vertical hook will work over to 3 versus 3x1. Compared to 2x2, they'll play their number 2s. So there you go with your matching principles. If you get something like a zig route or whatever, right? The good old tight end zig route. Since they added that this year, you know, now you kind of have a little bit of an answer towards that. You gotta have a guy that can end up matching that up a little bit, staying on that, right? Let's go with 2 out. Let's run like something like this. Let's just see how this looks. Like I'm trying to get like a stick route combination. Let's go with the regular flat route. Oops. Actually, let me go with just the out. Let me just kind of stem them down a little bit. Right? You're not dead versus these concepts where in the past you would kind of be like in trouble versus 3x1 to run a cover 2 pressure. But now you got the corner will come down to this, right? He's going to look for the new number 1. There's no work, so he zones off. And then our backside guy is going to come and work over towards number 3. So. Just playing a bunch of guys spamming empty. Wait, hold on. Let me go back up. Oh, something about the mid read. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take a look at that next. Let me change teams for that one. I'm going to go to Penn State. A bunch of guys spamming empty. One play with double Zigs. Default. Oh, nice. So you did a combination. Let me read it out loud so people can't see the chat here. Like, you played somebody that played a lot of empty, right? So then they ended up, they were running Zigs and all types of drags, I'm assuming, but just mostly Zigs. Trying to get man beaters, right? You ran 2 Sig, you ran Tampa, you ran 3 double buzz, right? And I'm sure if you mixed in any of the stuff, I'm assuming this was yesterday that you did this. All right, let me kind of jump into Penn State, everybody's favorite team, right? This has nothing to do with what you think. This is coverage. So anybody's thinking we're about to talk about the obvious, we're not going to do that right now. All right, so you have to understand like the different types of, this is cover 2, Tampa 2, and how the middle read player plays, right? Penn State has a really interesting 3x1 4 verts play. Where is it at? And you watch some people play, and it's just the way that number 3 kind of crosses across the field makes it kind of tough. Let me just back up a little bit. So this is a 3x1 strong formation, right? That's how it starts. But you see how this is automatically like, this is one of the most unique plays. Now, I'm not saying that the Tampa dropper is going to play this all the time, but this route was way too easy. And heading into, you know, this, you know, just going forward, the Tampa dropper is going to play more true. I think everybody's kind of talked about this, but he's going to play more true to like how you would see in real life. He's going to get a little bit more depth in his drop, where these type of routes would kind of confuse him a little bit. Now, I'm not going to say a guy who doesn't have good awareness may not get confused, but he'll get that deeper drop. So it's kind of like the best of all worlds. I think people like this middle read concept in general, but that's that. So his natural drop is deeper, but let's just run a different route real quick. Yeah, he's protecting for that. I'm surprised he even took him there. I wasn't expecting that. Let's go with this. All right. Now, something that would happen is if there's only one vertical, let's say one comes under, three comes under, and let's go two going vertical here. Oops, I messed that up. Oh no, they did it. All right. If there's only one deep vertical, that Tampa dropper may not keep on running out of there. All right, he'll be able to play with because there's only one safety, he can take care of it. He'll play a little smarter, but that's just something to take a look at. Now that does open up the middle of the field, obviously. So these throws in the middle are going to be important, but your curl defenders, remember they're not vertical hooks here. They're curl defenders, hook curl zones. Those guys have to overlap. If you ever go back and good old Tampa 2 teams or teams that run it, like, you know, people mostly user this. You have to be able to user this part of the field. Okay. So that would be something to take a look at. And make sure you have your high awareness players underneath. You love Penn State? I can imagine. I've been there once. Great place to go, man. My video is so choppy. I apologize, guys. I'll figure this out. I don't know what's going on. Because I've played games and they've been pretty smooth, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, everybody does the deep blue, right? So deep blue, you know, their footwork's a little different now, so that's why he doesn't go flying out of there. You could probably still use the deep blue if you want, but just know he's not going to probably get back like a regular middle read would. So, but that's about it, man. I'll do this. I will go back and I'm gonna get some stuff, some other work done right now. I'll go back and try to like section this thing up and maybe even cut it up and just try to like put it out there so you guys have it. If you're in the discords that I'm in, just if you have any questions, always feel free. Anything that's in the game currently, you can always ask, right? And I may not be able to answer all of them, right? So, but you can always ask. Obviously, I won't talk about future projects and things like that. So please don't don't ask about that stuff. But you know, this is good to have out there. The thing is, you know, I don't have a Patreon, right? As soon as I got this position, obviously, not doing that, and then my channel is not monetized, so all this stuff is out there. A lot of people used to always complain that, oh man, he go for like 20 minutes and then as soon as he's going to give me something good, it would cut off. But that's over with, man. If you have a question, if you ask the right questions, you get the right answers, right? So, and that's that. And then also, I want to keep on playing the game, obviously, and having fun. I'm going to probably knock out a game. I would stream it right now, but if I knock it out and it's really like choppy, it's probably going to be really hard to watch. But go from there. I don't plan on doing 3 o'clock in the morning streams all the time, but I probably will do it a little bit more. Sometimes I'll go to bed early, wake up early, and then just kind of go over stuff. But any buzzer beaters, any last things? I'm trying to think about anything that I liked as well. Well, always hit me up if you guys Discord wise. I'll be in the game plan Discord as well. I have my own Discord. If you have any questions, just hit me up. Yeah, man, no problem. Enjoy the game, man. It's fun. So let me know what you guys are cooking. If you cook something up, I always want to see it. So, all right, I'm gonna end the stream and get some work done. All right, talk to y'all later, man.